Okay, welcome back to part 2. I am outside, hence me squinting against the sunshine. Let me just turn so I have to squint against, that's it, that's better. So I'm outside and I've come out on the cross country course and I have brought my stud kit with me. Now, I've brought the super stud board with all the studs on it just so I can talk you through the ones that I know and point out some of the other ones that I maybe don't know, and for that reason I've got the leaflet because I kind of stick to what I know with the horses. I mean, aren't we all like that? I kind of know what works and what doesn't work. I've bought the kit that I use to apply the studs, clean the stud holes and what I do, and I've bought you this little thing that I take around with me because I'm that anal that I actually do this. I have all my studs sorted out into sections with screwdrivers and spare bits and pieces. Then I have the WD-40 which I use for the stud holes. So here we go. People are wondering why I'm crouching down by a cross-country fence. I am very sure, but hey ho. Here is said fence. And one up there too. Now I've picked here because the variation in ground is quite interesting. And there's also a water jump over there. But let's talk about the stud kit first and then we'll talk about what studs do what. So here we go. This is what I use. Again, I'm not an expert. There's probably hundreds of people out there who are much better at this than me, way more experienced, but this works for me and it's always worked for my horses, and if it works, why change it, right? So, horse in from the field with stud holes. He's lost his little plugs, so I need to start again. I use a digger. Don't know its actual proper name, funnily enough, but I put this in and I just kind of clean around the hole. Some people use a screwdriver, but this works really well. Don't dig it too deep because it's sharp. Just swirl it around and clean out the mud. Then I will jet it out with some Epsom salts in here normally, or just water. If I'm at a show, I'll just use water and just clean out any dirt and grit. If it's really nice and clean, I will then give it a little blast with that, and then I go in with my tapper. Now, as you can see, the tapper has little rivets in it. I'll turn it that way. The rivets are designed for dirt. Now, I've always found if you try and put this in a dirty hoof, forget it. You've got to do what I did first, to give it a clean out first. Then apply that, and that kind of cleans the runners that grip the stud. And anything that's left in comes out through here. I mean, as you can see, there's actually leftover mud on that one, even after I cleaned out the holes. And I screw that one in and then unscrew it again. And I've got a lovely clean stud hole. What I then do is, I've got a brand new super stud there that I've got. So then I would spray the end of that and then I just screw it in and tighten with a spanner. This is the generic piece of equipment they give you for tightening studs and tapping studs. Okay, it's a 5 out of 10 this one because most of the studs don't fit in here. I mean, some of them do, but the rounded ones, no chance. The square ones, great. And the tapper's okay, but it tends to snap. That's why I chose the red one. So I use a spanner, and I have several spanners because I don't know what's going to happen at a show. Always something happens at a show, never at home. And this tends to fit the rounded ones really nicely. Again, the ones that I use, it fits beautifully, and that's the one that I use to tighten them all up. Once they're in, I'll give them a little tap on the end to make sure they're in. I'll check them to make sure they're not too loose, and then we're good to go. So that's how I apply studs at a show. If I'm really organised, and sometimes I'm not, again, you'll always get real with me, I won't lie about things. If I've got time, I will do the stud holes at home, and if I do have time to do stud holes at home, I then pop this in. I've actually run out because I left them on the ramp of the lorry, so they're not in my generic stud kit, but they're on here. These little flat studs, which are literally just like keepers really. They keep the stud hole clean and they're flat to the hoof, and I'll travel in those. And then we kind of arrive at the show with a lovely clean stud hole, which is just what we want to do. So that's what I do with that. And then I tend to, when I get there, to take it out and apply the studs I need to apply. And that's pretty much it. And at the end of the day, when I'm all finished, I take the stud out and I plug it with cotton wool. Again, a little bit of oil to keep it nice and clean and sorted, and then it's good to go for the next time. So that's the basic stud kit right there, and yeah, we'll move on to a quick look at the ground in a sec. So what studs for what? Let's have a look at the ground here. Okay, this ground is fairly hard, and I like to put my foot into it. Check out the blue trainers and funky socks, guys. But I kick my heel in and I see how far my heel goes in. It's barely gone in, so I would say that's firm ground, maybe good. As you get close to the fence, again, it's pretty hard. Always check your landings. Always check away from the fence as well, going up through the ground. Again, we've had some rain overnight, so it's got a bit of give into it. So I would probably use the sharp stud for this particular type of ground, which I'll show you now. As you go up into the trees, the ground changes. Then as you go out into the more open areas where the sunlight always is, the ground changes again. So when you're walking the course, I always pick my stud to the whole course, not just particularly the fences. Today, because the ground's hard, I would go for a hard ground stud. So again, check out that ground. The landing's actually softer. I can see that by eye. I've gone in way further there. Okay, so let's go round and have a look at the studs. So for this particular ground today, I would choose to use this stud here, which is a mini sharp. As you can see, these have been used and they're rusty. Now, brand new, they do actually look like that. That's actually been used as well. Sorry, my bad, I haven't got a brand new one, but never mind. And this particular stud is called a mini sharp, 10mm. It's got extra penetration and a running spike. So it's like a running spike for horses, which is perfect for this ground. It says it's particularly suitable for sun-baked ground that differs in texture around the whole course. Well, yeah, perfect. That's what I'd use today. If I was doing dressage and the ground was fairly hard, again, these have been well used. This is after one round of dressage. Look at that. This is actually a road stud, and it's really good for hard ground again. It's extra hardened and it stands up to the rigours of road work, but again, I wouldn't wear that on the road personally. And it's really good for hard ground because it covers a larger surface area. So that is the kind of stud that I would use for dressage. I wouldn't jump off that though, purely because the larger surface area, I think it might make it slippy, even though it's got little, as I say, the nipple in the middle, but the grip in the middle, again, that becomes a slippery stud rather than a safe stud. So for the dressage on hard ground, I would go back to this one, and I'd show jump in that one, and again cross country in that one. So the same stud for every phase. Between every phase, if your horse is on the ground outside, fine, the studs can stay in. But if you stand them in the box, I would take them out, because there's nothing worse than having all that pressure on their hoof the whole time. As the ground